You're probably wondering how to get started on Microsoft Azure, or you've been seeing a lot about Microsoft Azure and the recent trends in the job market as far as Azure is concerned. Or probably you're an AWS solutions expert and you're wondering how you can get started on Microsoft Azure Cloud. So the focus of today's video, I'll be sharing a lot of resources that can help you to get started on Microsoft Azure, and I hope by the end of this video you have the right motivation to start your journey on Microsoft Azure Cloud. You want to watch this video to the end to learn all these resources and how you can practice with these resources to get you more better in using Microsoft Azure to meet client requirements. Hello guys, welcome back to our channel. If you are not yet subscribed to the channel, hit the subscribe button right away and get subscribed, because every week we produce similar content to help your DevOps or cloud computing journey. And also, if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for watching our videos, and thank you for those great comments which you always leave. Those comments help me to produce content that can meet your requirement. And also, if you are not yet part of my DevOps community, there's a link in my channel description. I'll also leave the link in this video description which you can use to join my DevOps community. In my DevOps community, I share some resources that can help you in your interview preparation process or in your entire DevOps and cloud journey. So you want to check out the link and join my DevOps community on Slack. So let's dive right into our free resources which you can use to get started on Microsoft Azure. So the very first resource which I'll be sharing with you is a Microsoft Learn. Just to highlight that all the other resources will be based on Microsoft Learn platform. The Microsoft Learn is a platform which you can use to have access to all the Microsoft resources that you might require to understand Microsoft Azure. And with Microsoft Learn, you have access to the Microsoft Azure documentation. You have access to understand some of the Microsoft training, some of the Microsoft assessment, some of the Microsoft certifications which Microsoft offers with the Azure platform. So you want to visit Microsoft Learn to have an understanding of the entire Microsoft Azure. Basically, the Microsoft Learn is a platform where you can build your skills on Microsoft Azure. And basically, with you going to the Microsoft Learn, you can see the ability to learn by doing using the Microsoft training session. You can also view technical documentation about certain services on Microsoft Azure, and also you can showcase your technical skills with the certified session. So with Microsoft Learn, you have access to all these possibilities, and basically you can level up with Microsoft Learn where you have access to all these free resources which I've mentioned. So you want to visit Microsoft Learn to find also some of the additional resources for startups, for student hubs, for educational centers, for Microsoft Learn blog, for virtual training days, and for Microsoft Reactor. So Microsoft Learn gives you the possibility to find all these additional resources. I'll leave the link to Microsoft Learn in the video description, and you want to use the link to access Microsoft Learn. Now, the second resource which I'm sharing with you is the Microsoft free account. Learning Microsoft without actually doing the hands-on will not give you the experience which you need to get a job. So I'm sharing with you the Microsoft free account which you can use to do a lot of practice. And with you having a free account, there are certain services which you can use in the free tier, and there are other services which you can use in a pay-as-you-go model. So when you're using any service with the free, or when you create your account on Microsoft portal, you want to be careful some of the services which you use, because some of the services will be billed and others will not be billed. So the Microsoft account basically gives you the opportunity to build in the cloud with Azure with a free account, of course. And with that, you can start for free, where you have access to some Azure resources which you can use for testing or for demo purposes, and you can also have some services for pay as you go. Remember, you must be careful when using some of the pay as you go services, because you will be billed for the services which you provision. Now, this gives you the ability to use some of the popular Microsoft services for free 12 months, and also gives you the ability to have access to some other 55+ resources on Microsoft Azure. And of course, Microsoft gives you the possibility to start the free credit, or to start with a free $200 credit which you can use for some pay-as-you-go services on Microsoft Azure. So you want to visit the Microsoft Azure portal to create a free account which you can use to run some of the testing, or which you can use to do some of the processes, or which you can use to get yourself started on hands-on with Microsoft Azure. And well, yeah, some of the things which you can do: you can create cross-platform mobile experiences, and they list some of the services: Azure App Service, Azure Cognitive Service, Azure Machine Learning, which you can use to create cross-mobile platforms. You can also use or drive innovation from existing future applications with Azure Virtual Machines, with Azure Kubernetes Service, or with Azure Synapse Analytics. And equally, if you want to build scalable websites and workloads, you can use Azure Functions, Azure Logic Apps, and Azure DevOps. So you have access to some of these resources once you create your account on Microsoft Azure. And also, these are the free services which you have access to for 12 months. You have access to Azure Virtual Machine, Azure Virtual Machine, the Linux, Azure Database, and all these services. So sign up on Microsoft Azure, get yourself a free account which you can use to test some of these services. And they say you can get 2 Azure services for 12 months. You can have Azure Files, Azure Media, and so on. So here are some of the resources which you can use first to get yourself started with an account on Microsoft Azure. You start with a $200 free credit. You also have a pay-as-you-go model for services you might want to do some further tests with, and also you have 12 months to try some other 55+ services on Azure. I'll also leave a link in the video description which you can use to create an account on Microsoft Azure. Now, probably you're not having the resources to get yourself enrolled in an academy that will help you to understand these technologies. Probably you don't have the resources to enroll in an academy that will guide you through your study, or you don't have the financial capacity to enroll in an academy that will guide you through your knowledge on Microsoft Azure. That is why Microsoft has crafted the Microsoft Training, which can help you to self-study on Microsoft Azure portal. So the self-learning or the self-training module on Microsoft Learn helps you to easily have access or to easily practice with some of these services for free. Now, once you're on the Microsoft Learn training section on the Microsoft portal, you see that you can actually have learning paths where you choose your own schedule, or you can find your career path that matches maybe a particular requirement. If you want to be a DevOps engineer, you want to be a cloud engineer, you want to be a solutions architect, whatever the case might be, you can find your career path. And also you can have access to some student resources on Microsoft Azure. And also, while coming to the platform, you see some popular learning modules or some popular learning paths and modules. You can see we have some for foundational where you just describe cloud concepts. You can have introduction to GitHub Copilot. Just to highlight that Microsoft actually owns GitHub, so you can equally have a proper mastery of how to use GitHub source code management system on Microsoft. Also, you can have a lot of other modules to get you started in learning a particular technology on Microsoft Azure. Take for example, you want to just get started to understand or to describe the basic cloud modules. So you just maybe you just click on this module. It's going to take you to a page. Once you click on a particular skill or a particular area which you want to focus on, you then have access to it. And basically, for example, this module, Microsoft Azure Fundamentals, where you describe some basic cloud concepts, it gives you a lot of details about this module. And in the module, you describe cloud computing, introduction to Azure Foundationals, introduction to cloud computing, and then they'll describe the benefits of using cloud services. They'll describe cloud service types and so on. It gives you a highlight of some of the things which you will learn in this particular training module. Now, assuming you want to get started, all you need to do is just to click on the start. And once you click on start, you can self-track your understanding of some of these concepts. So it gives you the modules, introduction to Microsoft Azure Fundamentals. If you go through from start to the end, you can have all the necessary requirements to take the Microsoft Azure Fundamental certification. So you can use this tool to get yourself trained. That's if you don't have the resources to get yourself enrolled in an academy that can guide you through your study on Microsoft Azure. We cannot overemphasize the importance of certifications as far as your DevOps or cloud computing journey is concerned. Once again, if you are not yet subscribed to the channel, hit the subscribe button and get subscribed so that you can get similar content in a subsequent. Now, certifications is one of the ways which you can prove your experience with a given cloud technology. Amazon have a lot of certifications for the Amazon Web Service Cloud, and also Microsoft equally has a given number of certifications which you can take to further prove your proficiency on some of these tools. And with the Microsoft certifications, you can have a lot of certifications which Microsoft offers with their cloud. Also, there's a very good discount which Microsoft gives that you can renew your Microsoft certification for free. That is, assuming you already have a Microsoft certification, you can renew that certification for free. Now, how do you prepare for certification? They give you a list of resources which you can use to prepare for certifications. Basically, you can find free learning paths to prepare, or you can prepare with an instructor-led training. And all these resources Microsoft offers for you, which you can use to get yourself started. Now, once you've got to understand some of these services, you can then now know some of the certifications which Microsoft offers. And as far as Microsoft is concerned, you can choose your certifications by role, and we have basically the Azure Administrator, Azure AI Engineer, Azure App Maker, Business User, Developer, Azure Architect, Azure Security Engineer, Azure Data Scientist, Azure Data Engineer, Azure DevOps Engineer, Azure Data Analyst, and a host of other roles which you can occupy on the Azure cloud. So you can browse certifications based on a given role. So you can also see some of the certifications which Azure offers based on popular certifications. We have AZ 900 for Cloud Foundational. We have MS 900 for Certified Foundational. We have PL 900 for Power Platform Fundamentals. We have MS 700 Teams Associate Developer, AZ 204, AZ 120, and so on. So you can also browse certifications based on the popular certifications. With the usage of the Azure certification page, you can use this tool to get yourself ready for your certifications, and equally you can use this to schedule your certifications. Assuming that I want to take a certification on maybe the Certified Foundational, and you come to the certifications page, all you need to do, you click on the Microsoft Certified Foundationals. They'll give you more details on the certification details, what you require to ensure you're prepared for this certification. They give you a skills measured portal, and also you can take a basic preparation or certification preparation, and then after that you can then schedule your certification. And of course, all the prices for the various certifications are found once you choose on that particular certification. For example, the certification of Microsoft 365 Fundamentals is just $99, and you can choose the price based on your location. So if you are in a given location, you choose your certification. Assuming I choose Pakistan, they'll tell me the amount which it will cost to have the certification in Pakistan, and you can schedule your certification with Pearson VUE or with Seriport. So that's basically how you can use Azure certifications to get yourself further tested. Now, the last resource which I want to recommend for you in this video is the Microsoft Assessment. Just like every other profession, you probably want to get yourself assessed to see how ready you are for the job market, or how ready you are to demonstrate your skill set with some of these technologies. And the Microsoft Assessment gives you the possibility to test your skill set on a given number of technologies on Microsoft Azure. So once you get to the Microsoft certification or Microsoft Learn platform, you have access to the Microsoft Assessment, where you can view all the various assessments. And basically, we have assessments for well-architected review. We have assessments for Microsoft Cloud for healthcare learner self-assessment, and a whole lot of this. There are other assessments for cloud adoption readiness, their assessment, or Microsoft also gives assessment workflow, where basically you start, you check about you check, you get a score, you take an action, you review, check score, and you improve. So you can use the assessment to see how ready you are to get into the cloud. So if you're a company wishing to migrate to Microsoft Azure, or you are a solutions architect, or whatever the case, where you want to demonstrate your experience with Microsoft Assessment, you can use the Microsoft Assessment to help a lot of companies walk through their migration or their movement to the Microsoft Azure cloud. So you as a DevOps, or you as a cloud, or you as an Azure expert, you want to use the Microsoft Assessment service or Microsoft Assessment to get to understand how assessment is done. And basically, we can have assessment if you have a well-architected review. You can also have an assessment for migration to the cloud, and they give you some of the steps which you use to perform an assessment. Like we have assessments for the cloud adoption strategy evaluator, and also they tell you how assessment work with Microsoft Azure. They start about you get a score, you take an action, you check your score, and you improve. And also they give some popular assessments with respect to industry requirements. We have app and data modernization readiness tool. We have the Azure landing zone review. We have the cloud journey tracker. We also have cloud adoption strategy evaluator, and a lot more other assessments which you can use to get the company ready to start their journey on Microsoft Azure. So that is another tool which you want to use to familiarize yourself on Microsoft Azure. So it's also important to highlight some of the certifications which you've already acquired, and possibly if you don't yet have any certification, you can work on getting some of these certifications while preparing for your interview. And lastly, like I mentioned, you should spend a lot of time trying to have an understanding on some of the behavioral skills or the non-technical skills which are required for your interview. It can help you to easily get a job as a Microsoft solutions expert. I hope this video was helpful to you, and I guess you had access to some of the free resources. I'll leave the link to all these sites which you've mentioned in the video description. And also, if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, hit the subscribe button so you can have a lot more similar content that will help you in your DevOps and cloud journey. Equally, don't forget to join my Slack community, where I share a lot of resources to help your DevOps and cloud computing journey. See you in our next video.